Hello and welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid you welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support this channel by subscribing, and also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm normally coming to you from Ghana country, acknowledging the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of the land upon which I reside, but at the moment you may have guessed, you are regular, I am elsewhere. I'm actually traveling, and hence the croaky voice, but still in the morning before everybody gets up. But I wanted to do a little video in relation to the new moon that we have coming up on the 31st of January, because it was going to be conjunct with Pluto. And Pluto is opposite Mars, which is going to make some rather interesting, should we say, entry points into the new year, especially if you see the 1st of January as the new calendar year. So Mars and Pluto will actually be exact on the 3rd of January, just after the 1st, and we will have Pluto at 1 degree 8 minutes of Aquarius, and Mars at the opposite side at 1 degree 8 minutes of Leo in retrograde. And as I said, on the 1st of January, we will also have Pluto at 1 degree 4 minutes of Aquarius, conjunct with the moon. So the moon is in Pisces at 29 degrees 4 minutes, but still that's with a mid-degree point, so that can be perceived as conjunction. Just as I said, this is rather an interesting way to start off the new year, because often Pluto and Mars have rather negative associations with respect to astrology. Starting off with Mars, Mars is considered to be a malefic planet, meaning that any malefic planets present difficulties to overcome situations, and Pluto is also another nice or a challenging planet because it can have negative effects such as obsession and obsessive desire for control, and also power, which can easily be distorted. So what I'm asking when I came across this is, will this be some sort of omen for this new calendar year, considering 2024 has been quite challenging for a lot of us? As I mentioned, so we'll come back to Mars. It's a malefic planet. It's actually the lesser malefic planet, whereas Saturn is the greater malefic planet. And these terms are actually derived from a convention in ancient Greek texts where these two planets in particular were perceived as evil or bad doers because they were viewed as providing negative or destructive significations in astrological charts. However, these planets are not necessarily bad as such. What malefic means, as I've already mentioned, is that they do not easily produce the results that would be considered good. They actually require us to have more thought, more consciousness, and even apply more skill at managing these aspects in our life. This in turn makes both Mars and Saturn necessary for building character and also interpersonal strength. Mars itself is named after the Roman god of war and is associated very often with war, violence, aggression, distorted or toxic elements of masculine energies. However, Mars is the sacred masculine, the protector, the controller, the protector of the sacred feminine archetype, which is Venus. The energy and the passion that Mars helps to create structure around enables Venus to envision a dream. So it is Mars that actually births dreams of the sacred feminine. And then we have Pluto. And I have done a separate video on Pluto. I'll see if I can link it below, because I don't know how to link it up there. And Pluto is named after another Roman god that of the underworld, who often gets confused, muddled up, sort of associated with Hades, his Greek counterpart. Now, Hades and Pluto are similar in lots of ways, but there are still differences between the two. One being that, while Hades is primarily ruling over the Greek underworld, which is so named after him, Pluto is associated not only with the dead, but also wealth and agriculture. Hades' name means the unseen, while Pluto's is, I guess, etymologically, well, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sometimes I get interested in it. Etymologically associated with riches. It's connected with the fact that the treasures of Earth, gold through to diamonds, emeralds, even crystals that we so love today, are all actually owned by Pluto. Pluto is also connected with death and endings, transformation, regeneration, rebirth, trauma, deep ancestral wounds. He tends to bring up these dark or shadowy aspects to the surface, as well as the inner strength that we need to have in order to wrestle with such dark aspects. So he's sort of like our inner shaman. However, being a planet of transformation is not always a negative. We humans don't like change. This is why it's got this negative connotation. But Pluto is the catalyst for change, for metamorphosis, for personal transformation. And thus, this is his connection with rebirth. He's sort of the phoenix rising from the ashes. And another aspect of Pluto that can be overlooked is how he is also connected with the raw truth, the raw honesty. A bit like Maat in ancient Egyptian mythology, who is the principle of, shall we say, universal truth, not our egocentric truth, but the divine truth. So, since the first opposition between Pluto and Mars that happened on the 3rd of November this year, where Mars was at 29 degrees of Cancer and Pluto was at 29 degrees of Capricorn, we have been or will be provided with 3 opportunities to cut through illusions, to cut through external distractions, and to really tap into our own personal power that resides really deep within ourselves. All those platonic hidden depths, bringing these up to the surface and to be demonstrated through our words and our actions, manifesting these things into the world by taking that direct action, which is Mars. And this is because Mars is retrograding. It has already triggered this point. It'll be triggering this point again on the 3rd of January next year, and again on the 27th of April, after it stations to direct on the 23rd of February. And so we'll have about 6 months in total of these 2 planets being in opposition to each other. And while this transit can involve rather intense emotions, power struggles, and also the need we may be finding to exert ourselves, it also can give us time to confront the struggles around control, around dominance, and also around vulnerability. We are also given an opportunity to really understand what we need to change in our lives, our lifestyle, our life choices, even the lens through which we see the world around us, taking more responsibility for our actions and affecting the desired change in our microcosm that can then echo out into the greater macrocosm. So you all hear people talking about wanting to create a new world, or how we're in this sort of pivotal time where we can create a new world. But how can we do that if our own inner world is contrary to our external vision? So what this means again is starting to walk our walk. It's very much about uncovering the hidden truth, as Mars is about cutting through illusions, while Pluto is wanting us to sort of reach down and pull up these deeply buried truths out of the darkness, and especially on the first, pull them into the light of the moon. Another interesting astrological observation is that Pluto and the moon opposing Mars, they are in a favorable aspect, being trines and sextiles to the nodes of fate. These, of course, are the North Node, which is our future direction, which is at 0 degrees of Aries, and the South Node, which is our collective karmic parts at 0 degrees of Libra. And what all this means is that these planets and points are working favorably together for our collective future. So what do we all need to bring out of the shadowy depths of Pluto in order to undertake transformation? What or how are we transforming our personal will, our personal health, so it is in alignment with our higher self, with our divine will, with our connection with cosmic consciousness. So when it comes to sort of redefining the martial energy, it is interesting to note that Mars is currently in Leo. And Leo is connected with the heart, with the star Regulus being the 21st brightest star in that sky, being some, I think, 300 times brighter than our sun. Regulus is referred to the heart of the lion because it's in the constellation of Leo, and it's actually located in the heart area of the constellation. So this could mean that Mars is an expression of our heart. So to wrap all this up, come the 3rd of January, we have Pluto and Mars in direct opposition to each other. We will be getting clarification about what transformation is all about that occurred at the beginning of this planetary cycle when these two planets were conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and that was back in February of 2024, bringing through all the Aquarian themes of collaboration, of justice, of truth, need to come back into balance, not only internally, our microcosm, but also externally, our macrocosm, in order to create this new world that everybody is going on about. This conjunction was energized, or is energizing, all these new Aquarian structures. This first square between Mars and Pluto, so that's 90-degree angle, that occurred around the 11th of June 2024, and the first square after conjunction is often considered to be the Pisces point for bringing light and authenticity into how we are taking action, how we walking our talk. And with this upcoming opposition now at 180 degrees, there is action coming into stillness, into our awareness that all our self-expression, which is Mars and Leo, for every action that we take, has implication. And this includes, as I said, our thoughts, our words, written, text, thought, etc. All of these are adding to not only our energetics, but because we are all energetically connected all around the world, it's adding to the collective consciousness, which in turn shapes the energy of our planet that forms the ring around our planet. And that's something to think about, especially in the last, to be like forever, this really intense negativity that we see, how everything's sort of driven, especially in the media, it's by reactions, and the best way to get knee-jerk reactions is to focus on the negative. And we do see that there's a lot more negative clickbait material being constantly generated. That is all adding to the energetics of the collective consciousness. And for those of us who are more sensitive, we are also picking this up and we're taking it on board, and it's causing a reaction. So now is a good time to just sort of stop and pause for a moment and consider, are you acting from your heart, from your authentic self, or are you acting from your ego? Are you expressing your own uniqueness out into the world in order to bring about harmony, the balance, and the right relationship, the divine into the collective? And if not, maybe this could be, if you do New Year's resolutions, a New Year's resolution for you to focus on. So I hope you found that of interest. I do wish you safe passage through the holiday season, and see you again later. That's it.